Welcome back, Exiles. In today's beginner's guide, we are going to talk about support gems. So what exactly are support gems? So support gems are gems that can enhance or modify your skills in various ways. For example, let's look at a skill called Ice War. So Ice War is a spell that casts a wall. There is a support gem called Fortress. This support gem basically changes skills that are walls into a full-on circle. So if I slot in Fortress into my Ice War skill and I cast Ice War, it changes from a wall into a circle. So this is just one way in which support gems can enhance or modify your ability. Another example here is Ice Strike. So Ice Strike is a 3-hit combo. It's a monk skill or a quarterstaff skill. There's a 3-hit strike, and the third strike is very strong because it has some really good freezing build up and does some good damage. So there is a support gem called Crescendo. So what Crescendo does is it lets you do the last part of your string twice in a row. So for example, if I slot in Crescendo into Ice Strike and then perform Ice Strike twice, what happens is I'll first do the 3-hit combo, then the fourth time it will come out as the last hit. So this again is another way in which support gems can modify your skills. And lastly, we can take a look at multiple projectile support, which is another support gem. So this one supports projectiles and gives projectiles 2 extra projectiles on top of your first one. So for example, let's look at the crossbow's grenade launcher skill. This launches out a grenade from the crossbow. If I slot in multiple projectiles in this, it now comes out with 2 extra projectiles. It goes from 1 projectile to 3 projectiles. That's just the basic understanding of how support gems work in Path of Exile 2. There are so many support gems to the point that even GGG has said they don't really know how all the interactions work with almost all the skills in the game. So it's very good to mix and match and just explore on how these gems work. So how exactly do you get these support gems? Well, just like skill gems, support gems can be found in the world, just exploring like random corpses, stashes, baskets, all that jazz. The support gem can drop from this. You can get support gems by killing random mobs. You can also get support gems by killing bosses, even completing quests. Sometimes a support gem can be given to you as a reward. The drop rate might not be as high as the skill gems, but it's something similar, and by the end game you have a bunch of these stacked up in your inventory. So always feel free to mix and match your support gems, explore and see what each one does and how they interact with your abilities. So just like a skill gem, when you get a support gem drop, you are first going to find an uncut support gem. So you're going to have to engrave this. When you do, it's going to open up the support gem cutting menu. This is just like the skill gem menu that you get when you engrave a skill gem. So the menu of the support gems first shows recommendations. So which support gems can fit into the skills you either have in your inventory or the skills that you have currently socketed. So make sure you have at least a few skills socketed and you see the recommendations. If you don't want to stick to the recommendations, you can always scroll to the last menu. This shows all the support gems in the game. So you have support gems under the intelligence attribute, you have support gems under the strength attribute, and you also have support gems under the dexterity attribute. Now I play on PlayStation 5, so I have to scroll all the way to the end to show all the skill gems in the game. But for PC, I think you're supposed to uncheck the little recommended check mark there to explore all the skill gems in the game. So you first start with 2 sockets for each skill. These sockets are specifically made for support gems and not other skill gems. Keep that in mind. It's 1 skill gem per socket. Then the rest of the sockets are solely for support gems unless you're using a meta gem like Cast on Freeze, which lets you socket in another skill that happens automatically. And the rest of the slots after that will solely be for support gems. Now in the end game, you can go from 2 sockets to a maximum of 4 sockets by using an item called Lesser Jeweler's Orb that lets you add in more sockets to your skill gem, meaning your skill can be stronger because you can add in a bunch more of support gems. Going back to the attributes, just like skill gems, support gems also scale with the 3 attributes in the game: strength, intelligence, and dexterity. So unlike skill gems, which increase in attribute cost depending on how high the level of the skill gem is, support gems always have a +5 attribute requirement no matter the level of the support gem. There are a total of 3 levels of support gems, with level 3 being the highest and being unlocked at a higher level, of course, but these don't increase in attribute requirements. the more you level up like skill gems. They always only need a +5 attribute requirement no matter the level. So for example, in one skill socket with 3 support gem sockets, if I choose to use 3 intelligence support gems, that means I'll need a total of +15 intelligence to use these support gems because there are additive. The same applies to dexterity gems and strength gems. So it's very good to know what you want before you start using support gems a lot. But if you want to stick to recommendations, that will be more than enough. You don't really have to worry all that much about knowing every single support gem in the game. Just the recommendations will be enough to get the job done for you. Unlike skill gems, support gems can't be leveled up. You just use it the way it is until the end game. So don't worry about leveling up or adding quality to the support gem. It doesn't work like that. Support gems do have restrictions. You can't use every support gem on every skill in the game. So for example, let's go back to Frost Wall and the Fortress support. If you read the description of Fortress, it says it supports skills that create a wall. I believe there are a total of 3 skills in the game that create walls. We have Frost Wall, we have Flame Wall, and I believe the Mace has an Earth Wall skill as well. So Fortress support will work on all 3 of these skills, but it won't work on any other skill in the game. It's specifically made for war skills. The game actually does a great job of letting you know if that particular support gem will be compatible with that skill you want to use. If you drag the support gem into your sockets, the game will inform you that this support gem cannot work with this particular skill. Now, this doesn't happen all the time, so you have to make sure you read the description all the time and just figure out if the support gem works by testing it yourself. You can only use one specific support gem per skill. Now, what I mean by this is you can't have multiple copies of the same support gem and use them on multiple different skills. So let's say I have a support gem called Deep Freeze. I have an Ice Monk, by the way. So I have a support gem called Deep Freeze, which increases the rate at which you freeze enemies. This support gem is very flexible. It works on almost all my skills as a monk. So I can only use this on one particular skill. So I have to be very careful on making decisions on where I want to place this support gem, because support gems are very strong, but you can't use the same support gem for multiple skills on your build. This is very, very important, guys. Keep that in mind. You have to make the right decision on where you want the support gem to go. And lastly, there are some support gems in the game that actually use spirit. Now these are usually used for meta gems. Remember in my skills guide we did talk about meta gems a bit. So meta gems are mostly buff skills, more like auras that are always active but cost spirit to use, or even skills that let you socket in other skills and automate them. For example, like Cast on Freeze. If I add in Frost Wall on Cast on Freeze as an Ice Monk, whenever I freeze an opponent, it will automatically cast Frost Wall. That's basically what a meta gem is. So these really don't have like really good support gems. I have a few support gems like Vitality that cost a very low amount of spirit, like 5 spirit or 10 spirit. So that's basically how support gems work in this game. Not too complicated. My biggest advice is just stick to the recommended support gems as a new beginner. If it seems too overwhelming for you, if you don't want to explore the options and you're just confused a lot of things, just stick to the recommended support gem. So you pick up a support gem or an uncut support gem, engrave it, it will open up the recommended menu for whichever skills you have socketed currently. The first being recommended skill gems, of course, recommended support gem. So pick that and you're good to go. It even automatically sockets a support gem for you. Other than that, it's not a very difficult system to understand. It's very easy, just looks complicated. So in due time, I promise you, you're going to get a hang of it. So that's basically how support gems work. If you want anything else explained, please feel free to ask me in the comment section. I'll try by all means with my knowledge to break down everything for you. I do have some more beginner guides coming, stuff on life, mana, energy shield, so look forward to that as well. So thank you so much for making it this far in my video. If you did, please do consider subscribing. I'm now covering Path of Exile 2 content on my channel, which was originally a fighting game channel, but I love this game too much that I'm covering it right now. Your support has been good so far for the small channel that I am very, very grateful. So yeah, leave a like and do the YouTube jazz, boys and exiles. Stay sane.